I don't know why I have the honor, but it is an honor for me to introduce our keynote speaker today. Georgia State Senator and fellow Vietnam veteran Ed Harbison. Senator Harbison is from Columbus, Georgia. He served in the Marine Corps for 4 years, including a year as an infantryman in Vietnam, where he was awarded the Purple Heart. Senator Harbison was first elected to the Senate from the 15th District 34 years ago in 1992. He represents the citizens of Macon, Marion, Talbot, Taylor, Schley counties, as well as portions of Chattahoochee County, and Muskogee County. Senator Harbison is currently chairman of the State Institutions and Property Committee. He is the ranking member of the Banking and Financial Institutions, Insurance and Labor, Interstate Cooperation, Reapportionment and Redistricting and Ethics Committees. He also serves as vice chairman of Veterans, Military, and Homeland Security Committees and is ex officio of the Regulated Industries and Utilities Committees. And in his spare time, during the 2008 General Assembly, Senator Harbison successfully sponsored a bill to ease barriers and alleviate bureaucratic red tape for children of military families who transfer from one state to another. A true and trusted friend of all Georgia veterans, Senator Harbison is also responsible for legislation which designated Georgia as a Purple Heart state, established a separate court for veterans in Georgia, established a military hall of fame in Georgia, and a bill authorizing the consolidation of Chattahoochee County and Casada. United States Marine Corps Sergeant and State Senator Ed Harbison was inducted into the 2014 class of the Georgia Military Veterans Hall of Fame for his outstanding leadership and his exemplary life of selfless service to our nation, his fellow Americans, and Georgians, and most especially Georgia veterans. Paul Ongier, the Georgia Military Veterans Hall of Fame founder, and Rick White, its president, have often said, without Senator Ed Harbison, there would not be a Georgia Military Veterans Hall of Fame with the status it has grown to enjoy. Likewise, without him, the framed citations and photographs of the Georgia Military Veterans Hall of Fame inductees would not be permanently installed in the Georgia Capitol building. Ed Harbison is a true friend of our veterans and their families. Welcome, please, Senator Ed Harbison.
Thank you. Good morning, Vietnam. We remember that, don't we? I'm really glad to be here today. I promise you that, wait a minute, 45 minutes, right? Okay. 45 minutes, okay? Is that all right with everybody? I'll tell you, like Elizabeth Taylor said to one of her 8 husbands, I won't keep you long, so we'll go with this. But let me say this on a serious note, and I'm just really, really honored to be here today to talk to my fellow veterans, and I do it across the state and out of the state, and it just always gives me a great feeling of patriotism and just volunteerism and just a part of our great state and country. I'm just glad to be here, to be able to do that and pay back some of the great things that our country has offered by living here. I was born in Alabama. I started off at a little one-room shack. That's a true story. That's a true story. One-room shack in Prattville, Alabama, where I was born. And my grandmother and my mother raised me. And my grandmother, to be honest with you, Annabelle Minder, was my first drill instructor. We know how that goes, right? And that harkens back to the day of, look, you didn't spare the rod. They meant that literally. And some of us lived it. I lived it. You know, the truth of the matter is, those were good lessons, and they meant something. And I think right now where we're sort of drifting to, we need to reapply some of those strategic applications to some of our population here today. Our younger people, we need to sort of reintroduce them to a whooping, as it were. And I remember, I really didn't want to see that. And I remember on occasion, we would go out and get a little switch like this and come back and give it to your grandmother to administer the corporal punishment. And she said, well, go get me another one, and another one, and another one, until it met her standards, you know what I mean? But let me pause to say that I'm just really glad to be here with my good friend, Colonel White, my other good friend, Colonel Longrear, two of my best friends. Look, what they did with the Georgia Military Veterans Hall of Fame is laudable. It's something that really we should all celebrate. Colonel White, where are you, my friend? I know you're in here. He is right here. Let's give him a great round. And the truth of the matter is, the Georgia Military Veterans Hall of Fame would not be what it is without those two, because they cooked up the idea, put it into reality, and brought it to a place where they could make it happen. My other good friend, Roger Wise, is not here. I don't see him today, but he hounds me everywhere I go and make me do what he says. So he's also a good friend. I'm also honored to be here today with another one of my friends who came to the Georgia State Senate. When I came to the Senate, he went to the House of Representatives, and that was Vernon Jones, who established the Georgia DeKalb County Veterans Commission, and the pavilion in DeKalb County, Brook Run, he established that as well. Let's give Vernon Jones a big round of applause here. I raised him from a pup, so that's half true. That's half true. But let me say this. I have a speech here, but I want to tell you about the mission, about what the Georgia General Assembly does. And it's not me. No one person passes a bill by themselves. I don't care who you are. You have to have somebody there with you. And I'm just glad to be part of a group that works for veterans almost all the time. And like I said, Roger Wise, we're coming down all the time. And I want to read a couple of the bills that we passed this year before I address you officially, and I won't take long. I want to be very timely of your time. But one of the bills we passed this year is called the Eligibility for Interment in Georgia Veteran Cemeteries. Now, that may be a little, but it's something that we need to think about, don't it? It's something that now, I believe, if you have a wife or something like that, or a husband, they cannot be buried there. But this changes all that, and as well as some additional medals for our veterans. Current law authorizes the Department of Veteran Service to verify eligibility for interment in Georgia Veteran Cemetery using federal national cemetery standards. The bill revises the definition of full term of service as the agreed length of enlistment or commissioned service, or at least 24 consecutive months if conscripted. The bill provides that the individual eligible for interment includes those who qualify under federal national cemetery standards and individuals meeting the requirement of the Burial Equity for Guards and Reserves Act. An individual qualifies under the provision if he or she, while serving honorable conditions, is either a reserve component member or discharged under honorable condition, or who have died while serving under the same conditions. That would be reserve officers, training corps members who died under honorable conditions while a service member, or a spouse, minor child, or unmarried adult child of such service member. So that opens it up. And this one right here, I think, is even one that would have us perk up and be inclusive, in the sense that sometimes with the veterans we get, the medals we get, sometimes it is not as inclusive as they should be. This bill, this is House Bill 1328. The bill requires the Georgia Student Fund, I'm sorry, I'm reading the wrong one. I want to read this one. The current law has to do with, let me find that one, has to do with the new medals that we get under the Department of Veteran Services auspices to carry out, and I think I'm missing it. Okay. The bill requires the Georgia Student Finance Authority to select and nominate between 6 and 10 people from each congressional district in Georgia to receive a military scholarship to the University of North Georgia by February 1st of each year. At least 3 people from each congressional district must be selected for a scholarship. If findings allow, this bill authorizes the selection committee to select additional candidates to receive military scholarships. However, the total number of people receiving a scholarship may not exceed 70% of the Georgia Army National Guard's cadets enrolled in the University of North Georgia, or 210 people, which is less. And I think that is the Georgia General Assembly looking at ways we can increase our involvement in making sure we can have everybody who wants to serve can serve. We've had bills that we passed that make the AVVBA test available for all the kids in high school. Right now, I'm just honored to be part of a group called Our Community Salutes. Now that community does something for our people who are going to be enlistees out of high school. They hold programs for them to honor them here in Georgia, Columbus, and Savannah, and they hold these programs, giving them certificates, appreciation, bringing their families, moms and dads, and making sure they can be embraced and boasted up, and thanking them in advance of the things they're going to do for the Army, Navy, Marines, Air Force. And when I had the induction about 3 months ago, I believe the Space Force had more inductees than anybody else. So those people are coming back up. You know, at one time we were a little low in what we were doing as it relates to recruiting. And it was not their fault. It was just a thing where the recruitment was kind of going a little soft. But now it's coming back up big time. So we need to thank the people who are doing the great recruiting. They're doing a good job for our country. The boys and girls who join become real men and women who serve our country in a good way. So let's give those organizations a big round of applause as well. Well, let me say this to you. I came out of Montgomery, Alabama. I was born in Prattville, raised in Montgomery, and it was my intention when I joined that I was going to join the United States Army when I finished high school, and I played basketball, football, and track. And I said, man, I think I'm going to go get the GI Bill, come back and go to college, because I don't have the money right now to go. So what I'm going to do is go to the Army, do my 2 years and get out. But alas and alack, I was on the track team with a friend of mine. His name was Papa. We call him Papa Jenkins. He said, no, you don't want to do that, man. You want to go to the Marine Corps. You want to go to the Corps, baby. We're going to wear them uniforms. We're going to sail from sea to sea. We're going to see girls. And, oh, man, we're going to have that uniform, man, we're going to be bad. And so I said, well, no, I think I want to go to the Army, get it over with, do my duty to my country and get out. So, and get out. He said, no, trust me, man. Have I ever led you wrong? I said, well, I never followed you before. So he said, well, this time, trust me. Let's go to the Marine Corps. Look, man, I'm telling you, it'd be fun. We're going to go overseas. And, man, look at those uniforms. Look at them. Look at that uniform. And I went home and I found something. I said, well, they look pretty good. And I said, no, but I still think I want to go to the Army. I think I can have a good career and get out and go to college and make my contribution both ways. He said, Ed, man, I'm telling you, you need to listen to me on this one. I'm telling you right. I know what I'm talking about, Jack. I said, look here, I said, man, you're a good talker, but I don't believe you do the walk. I said, I ain't doing that. And so finally one day he talked to me day and night, over about 3 weeks, just every day. We went to track team together. We running track. He talking in my ear. Let's go to the Marines, man. We playing football. Let's go to the Marines, man. And walking down the halls in the school. You want to go to the Marines, man? So I said, he just wore me down. I said, man, okay. I said, I might try it. So I went and joined the United States Marine Corps. And the first thing they did when I got to, no, do I want to tell that? Yeah, I think I better go. Look, when I got on a plane, I've never been on a plane in my life. and they put me on a prop plane and spitting out fire of both engines, flew me from Montgomery, Alabama to Birmingham, then flew me to Savannah, Georgia. And man, I'm looking at the plane. I said, man, that plane it's on fire. It's on fire. I said, but I'm not going to tell anybody. If nobody else say they don't see that, I ain't saying nothing. I don't want to look bad. So it took me all the way down, and we landed in Savannah. At Savannah, we got on a bus. Man. I said, okay. I said, I'm ready now. I said, I'm feeling a little better about it. Class said, you're going to enjoy this. You're going to enjoy this, man. Took us down there. And we stayed on that bus. It was daylight when we got there. We stayed there, all night long, looked like. I fell asleep, woke up, and I woke up to a nightmare. I get off the bus. Yeah, some guy with a big hat on his head, a big Smokey the Bear hat on his head, yelling, sounded like he was barking like a dog. Get off, get off, get off. And I said, what in the, and you're in shock. I'm in shock. I don't know what's going on. So at last, we get off the bus. Yellow footprints, right? Yellow footprints. You got to stand there. So we get on the yellow footprints, and I'm standing there shaking. The guy done cussed me out already, even before I get there. He already cussing me, calling me names I never knew I had. And finally, he took me someplace and started putting equipment on my back. And I went carrying this tent gear and carrying the clothing, and then they cut all my hair off when I told them to close the hose in the side, leaving on the top, but they cut it all off. We know how that works. But finally, the joke is, when I got to the Marine Corps, Sergeant Brown, I'll never forget his name, Sergeant Brown. He lives in infamy in my mind every day. Sergeant Brown. He said, well, I can't tell that part. That's right. I can't. But you saw Full Metal Jacket, didn't you? Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. That's what he said. You know, that's what he said. But we got there, and early morning, I couldn't get a good night's sleep. He'd wake up, they would dump me out of the rack if you slept late. We get up late, and they'd be cussing and screaming and yelling, throwing trash cans down the aisle. I said, what is going on? And then every now and then, they have you hold your sheets over your head like this and to check whether you had an accident while you were asleep. And the last thing, they changed my name. They call all of us. They call us all kind of name, but my drill instructor, Sergeant Brown, was an equal opportunity insulter. He called all us maggots, and he did everything he could to make us live up to it. But I got to tell you this. It sounds humorous now, but I got to tell you this. In the end, on graduation day, when you put that uniform on, you got pride in your heart, pep in your step, and you're feeling good about what you're doing and what you accomplished because you did something. You finished a United States Marine Corps boot camp, and that was just second to none. I believe that everybody should be doing that kind of thing. All the young people graduating now should at least volunteer for some kind of federal service in the Marine Corps, Air Force, or whatever group that's available now. It's a wonderful experience if you survive it. Now, I hated Clarence Jenkins from that day to this one because 6 months later, you know where I was? I was in Vietnam, and they were shooting at me. And then 0311, I had buddies, they go to, I'm going to go with sea duty. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to do this. I'm going to be on tanks. 11 Bravo. That's Army, right? 0311, right? 0311. I walked all over Vietnam, all over California, all over I can't say what we call that hill, but it was Sheep something hill. And I got broken real good and went to Vietnam, and they shot at me over there. And then I came back from Vietnam, came back offshore, and something called the Gulf of Tonkin happened. And they put us out at sea, I said, well, this ought to be a nice cruise, baby. It's got to be a nice cruise. We out there just high line detail. And every day we ate SOS for breakfast. Y'all know, you know what I'm talking about, right? Every day we had that. And finally one day, I beg your pardon, it was one night. The captain of the ship, I think it was the USS Renville, came over the loudspeaker and said, "This is not a drill. This is not a drill, locked and loaded. This is not a drill, locked and loaded." So we got all geared up and went over the wet nets, and we landed in Vietnam. That was in 1994. 1994, and we at Da Nang, F-4 Thunder, the Thunders Chiefs, and F-105 Thunder Chiefs, and the F-4 Phantoms. All those things was going on then, and we had limited contact right there. But we were getting people killed. We lost, as we do in war, we lost people. Our friends we had been through boot camp with all that time. I get back. They let us go home. I go home. 90 days. They send me back to Vietnam. They sent me back to Vietnam. March 8, 1965, I was among the first troops to land in Vietnam, combat ready. That time it was different. And then on, it was a serious affair in the Vietnam. And I went back again. So I was in country 3 different times. But let me tell you something. I had great company with me. Great Marines. I don't care whether they're from New York, whether they're from Texas, Alabama, whether they were great. Black, white, tall, short, stout. And if you went to the Fat Club, you know they slimmed them down a little bit because they wouldn't let them eat. But the bottom line is, it was a Marine Corps boot camp. You made lifelong friends. I've just lost a couple of my friends lately. We get into that age, you know what I mean? But if I can make it, I try to go and pay my tribute, because it's nothing like being a United States Marine. It's nothing like it, because you come through the fire and you survive it, and you live and you expand and you learn discipline and you learn about patriotism. You learn that you love your country because you see how other countries live and how they survive or not. But God is good. You put God first, step out on faith, and you understand that God is in charge of this whole endeavor. And I never lose that faith wherever I go. My grandmother instilled that in me, and I never left it because she said, "If you don't believe me, I'll show you how to get butter from a duck." I said, "Ma'am, if you don't believe me, I will show you how to get butter from a duck." I said, "Yes, ma'am, I'll believe that, and I ain't going to try either." So my grandmother, may she live forever in my soul and God's bosom, because she really raised us. She didn't have a lot of money, but she had a lot of common sense, a lot of G2, a lot of wisdom, and she taught us right. So being decent has nothing to do with how much money you got. It's the street you walk on, the street of life. If you're going down the one-way street, don't worry about it, because God allows U-turns. So be straight, be diligent, be faithful to your creed, your moral in life, and never deviate from it. And sometimes, most of the times, you'll come out all right. I think daily about those people we lost in Vietnam. Personal friends of mine who paid the ultimate price, who someday maybe we should do even greater things for them. That's why I travel all over the state and will travel anywhere to make sure that we can salute, we can talk about, we can honor our soldiers who never came back, who are forever 19, who are forever 21, or whatever age they left in Vietnam. Thank God for the United States Marine Corps. Thank God for Georgia. And thank God for your service to your country. We appreciate you. Thank you. God bless you. Appreciate you. Thank you very kindly. Thank you. Any questions?
You want to take any questions?
Yes, sir. Any question? Anybody? Anytime? The only thing I don't know anything about is K-Son that my friend Sergeant Blair knows about over there in the red cap. That's Sergeant Blair.
Senator,
Yes, sir.
I don't have a question.
Colonel Longry. I'm sorry, Sergeant. Colonel White, excuse me.
No, Rick. Even though it was alluded to earlier, I just want to emphasize the fact that gentleman standing right there, when we say without Ed Harbison, there would not be a Georgia Military Veterans Hall of Fame, underline it. If we say that there would not be the Georgia Military Veterans Hall of Fame in the state capitol, which, by the way, the only state in the union that honors their veterans with a Hall of Fame in the capitol is the state of Georgia, because of that man right there.
God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Senator. On behalf of AVVBA, we'd like to offer you a life membership since you're a Vietnam veteran. Here you are.
Thank you. God bless you. Thank you, Senator. Thank you. Well, I certainly appreciate this man in more ways than one. I know us 11 Bravo and 0311 people out in the bush, the greatest thing you see coming is a helicopter, right? He flew one. God bless this man right here. Thank you, brother. We love you. I don't care what service you were with, F-105, Air Force, Army, whatever you were, we were glad to see you. So thank you for what you did for your country.
Here's your challenge coin, and here is your...
Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you.
Once again, let's give the Senator a round of applause.